welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musings. Steve here. We are continuing on with some historical background for the first century and well into the early apostolic age. We left off with Rome trying to cut some deals, nobody being happy, everything bubbling to the top, Augustus trying to cut a deal, all the factions start to manifest. And one of the factions that manifested at the time where, Augustus tried to cut the deal and he fueled the inter-Jewish rivalry was the rise, I don't want to say the creation, they were always there, but the coming to the surface of the Sicarii. The Sicarii are probably most commonly known to you through Judas Iscariot. Iscariot means of the Sicarii. So we're going to talk about the Sicarii on this episode because it was one of the groups that came to rise after Herod's demise, and they had a direct impact on the Bar Kokhba revolt that would come some years later. Now, interestingly enough, there's some themes that you should already see coming forth even in just these few lessons. Look, you got a mob, you got violence, you have scapegoating, blaming one another, and now you have zealotry. The Sicarii were the religious fanatics, the zealots, and they got their name from the curved dagger that they would carry hidden in their cloak. And they were basically terrorists. And they were in the pocket with Rome. And have you ever heard the phrase cloak and dagger? Have you ever wondered where that came from? The Sicarii. Because what the Sicarii would do at Rome's direction. So imagine walking in, you know how they wore loose-fitting robes and things? And the Sicarii would enter a crowd with that curved knife in their robe or whatever they're wearing in a crowd, and I mean a jammed crowd, like at the temple or any place in the street. Just walk by, slip it out, stick it in, you put it back, gone. They were the blackmail protection racket. They were a nationalist terrorist group operating under a thinly veneered religious disguise. We are doing this for Yahweh. Man, does that sound familiar? We are living in the same days. In some parts of the world, it is literal violence, and in other parts of the world, it is just hatred, political violence, and the destruction of our enemies, the metaphorical murder of our enemies. Cloak and dagger comes from the Sicarii. That's how it worked its way into our language. Now, this should also give you insight into the person of Judas in the sense of what was making him tick. It also should give you insight into the kind of diverse group of incompatible nut jobs Jesus picked for his 12. He picked a murderous member of the Sicarii. He picked a tax collector who's in cahoots with Rome. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Because they would not pass our pastoral review board for a position within the church. We're going to have you present yourself to the elders for approval. Jesus was operating on a different frequency than we would in our churches. But they were basically the group that would kill anybody, anytime, at anybody's behest, with political endorsement to advance the cause of God. Otherwise, holy violence is a good thing. And the Sicarii were the elite terrorist team. And one of the 12 was a member of the Sicarii. Let that sink in next time somebody upsets you and you think they're not worthy of being called a follower of Jesus. See you next time.